Well, I could get a time machine. And then I
Okay.
could go back in.
Good
That's why
morning
I
and
was
welcome to the
lost.
Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, June 4th. I'm the chair. I'm your county board chair, Sean Flowerday. With me is Vice Chair Rick Vest and Commissioners Matt Schulte, Roma Amundsen, and Krista Yoakum. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk.
Location announcement of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act. Copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall of the rear of the hearing room. All written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available for electronic viewing from the county clerk staff. Printing options are available upon request. These materials can be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Brings us to item 1, minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on May 28th, 2024.
I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundsen,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yoakum,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 2, claims. Approval of the claims processed through June 4th, 2024. And I'll note there is an amendment for the payroll.
I would move approval of the claims with the addition of the payroll disbursements through May 29th, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Yoakum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundsen,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 3, consent items. These are routine business items that are expected to be adopted without dissent. Any individual item may be removed for special discussion and consideration by a commissioner or by any member of the public without prior notice. Unless there is an exception, these items will be approved as one single vote of the Board of Commissioners. These items are the approval of A, amendment to county contract C-23-0821 with Schimmer Associates Incorporated for professional engineering services to replace County Bridge W104. B, right-of-way contracts with the following: Ava A. Anderson, Branched Oak Road, North 112th Street, in the amount of $451. Jack and Eleanor Davis, Davy Road and 141st Street, in the amount of $1,951. Bradley Wells and Estate of Mary Wells, Davy Road and North 141st Street, in the amount of $1,999. C, directing the county clerk to publish notice in legal newspapers of the intent of the county board to sell real estate by the Lancaster County to the city of Lincoln. And D, cancellation of a public hearing for an amusement license from Stephen Slate to hold an event on June 22nd, 2024 at Old Farm.
I move approval of the consent items. Second. Sorry.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yoakum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundsen,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries. Commissioners, that brings us to item 4, public hearing. The appeal of resolution PC 01906 to amend special permit 141CO for a personal wireless facility by extending the allowed height of a tower from 199 feet to 210 feet on property located at 9201 West Agnew Road.
And just for everybody's reminder, because I'm terrible about this and staff has prompted me well here, that it will be staff first, then the applicant, then the appellant, right? And then the applicant, sorry. Yeah, all right. So we'll do first staff testimony.
Okay, good morning. Brian,
Sir,
sorry.
We haven't even opened the hearing yet. We need to open the hearing.
I will open the public hearing for the appeal of resolution PC 01906.
do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Brian Will, Planning Department, 555 South 10th Street. So this is an application for an amendment to an existing special permit that was approved originally in 1996, special permit 141. And we're talking about this parcel here, located 9201 West Avenue Road, approximately 78-acre parcel. And that original special permit approved a 199-foot tower at this location on the property. And the application before you today is to amend that special permit to go from 199 feet to 210 feet, so an 11-foot extension to allow for the accommodation of an additional carrier. So the planning department found that this does make more efficient use of an existing facility, decreases the need for another tower in the area, and did recommend approval. At the Planning Commission's May 8th hearing, they heard this application and voted 8-0 to approve it. That approval was then subsequently appealed, and that's the application then before you today. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for staff?
Not at this time.
What does, besides the height extension, is there any other changes that have to I mean, so it's growing by 11 feet. Does that force any other changes?
There is a small extension to the compound area, to about the southeast corner of the lease area for the carrier, but otherwise, that's it.
What does that mean, compound area?
Well, the compound area is usually a fenced area, and it varies 50 by 50, 100 by 100. I mean, it depends, but that's where all of the sport ground equipment and those facilities are located that support the antennas that are on the tower.
So is there a structure that's expanded?
Sometimes
on
there are
it?
shelters that this equipment is located in. I mean, it varies. Sometimes the equipment is exposed to the elements, but typically it's inside some sort of shelter. But there are smaller shelters, like small accessory buildings, 8 by 8, 10 by 10, et cetera. So,
Commissioner
Yeah,
Vest.
Brian, when we talked about this at the staff meeting, my understanding was that 200 foot is the mark between lighting on the tower and not having lighting on the tower and having it. So with the addition of the 11 foot from 199 or 198, now there will be lights at
Yes.
the top of it.
yeah, that's correct. And so to be clear, because it was mentioned at the Planning Commission hearing, the original special permit at 199 feet was not required by the FAA to have lighting. It was just under that threshold. And in fact, a condition was added to that special permit that it would not be lighted unless it was required by federal regulation. So now with this extension, however, going to 210 feet, it will be required to be lighted. So yes, that's correct.
Just wanted to clarify. And you'll be available if we have questions.
Sure, I will be here, yes, yep.
Okay. Are there any other staff members wishing to speak on this? Okay, seeing none, then we will move on to the applicant.
Can you please clarify, are you looking for applicant or appellant?
Applicant, I said appellant
Fantastic.
earlier, I meant applicant, I do it. I've made this
All right.
mistake before.
All right, just making sure the order.
We'll start off by swearing you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Ann Post. Good morning. My name is Ann Post. I'm an attorney with Rembolt Ludke. I'm here today on behalf of the American Tower Corporation. So first, I want to start by kind of explaining the ownership structure that'll kind of help set the basis for our conversation. I represent, as I said, American Tower Corporation. The property is owned by a separate property owner that's then leased by American Tower Corporation that owns and manages the tower. And then it's the different cell service carriers that places equipment on the tower and provides a cell service coverage. The application in front of us, as Mr. Will mentioned, is for an amendment to an existing special permit. This amendment allows the height of the tower to be extended by 11 feet. The purpose of the amendment is to allow for, of the extension, is to allow for additional cell service coverage. So I want to provide some maps just to kind of show the impact of this. All right, the map that's coming up in front of you is going to show green, yellow, and red areas. And if I could zoom in, it would help a little bit more. All right, so on this side, we have the coverage of this tower currently. All right, you will note that there is especially some holes in coverage on this, the highway leading between Valparaiso, south from Valparaiso, Agnew, and then that there isn't great coverage over here at Raymond. And then Branched Oak Lake also has some coverage, lower levels of coverage. With the extension on this cell service tower, it provides additional coverage. So you'll notice that there is better coverage for the highway leading south from Valparaiso. We have better coverage on Agnew. Not fantastic, but better coverage on Raymond 2 and Branched Oak Lake. So better clarification, green means high speeds, good coverage. Yellow means a little bit lower speeds, that your coverage may be spotty inside buildings, but you can generally make a call. Red means no service. So that is the purpose and why the carrier and the tower company are seeking an extension at this site. And I do want to emphasize, as was indicated by Mr. Will, that the extension is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. Generally, the comprehensive plan supports the importance of providing cell service coverage to the county, as it's an essential service for our citizens to be able to conduct their business. It also recognizes that it is, from a policy perspective, the importance of minimizing the impact on the property, minimizing the cell tower locations, and encourages efficiently using those locations. That means maximizing the utility of sited towers instead of siting additional towers throughout the county. So that's why this extension is supported by the comprehensive plan. All right, so next I wanted to address a few questions that had been brought up, I understand had been brought up at Planning Commission. And so the first is, as was also brought up this morning, lighting. That yes, lighting is required. There are other circumstances, but generally as a rule of thumb, once a tower goes over 200 feet, lighting is required. So once this tower goes over 200 feet, lighting will be required. This lighting is designed to be a white-red shift, that it is white during the day to shift to red at dusk. It's designed to minimize impact on neighbors, minimize the impact on attractiveness to birds throughout the area, and then especially that red shift to minimize its impact on pilots that may be using night vision to help navigate the area. I do want to recognize something else that was brought up at Planning Commission. In talking to my client, the extension has already been installed. That is something where there was an internal miscommunication. It was installed before they realized the need for the special permit. It was actually when they were looking to get permits for additional work in the area that they realized the error there and are coming back for that. So the extension has been installed, but I will note no equipment has yet been installed on that extension. I believe that was installed in July of 2023. So right now they're waiting to install equipment until hopefully receiving approval of this special permit.
Is it already lighted though, if it's over 200?
My understanding is yes, it is. Right, I know there were comments about work done in the right-of-way. In talking to my client, it was hard to speak specifically to what was being discussed without more facts, but we were able to pull records of work that had been done in the right-of-way recently. I want to emphasize this work was due to a different carrier that is not involved with the extension, but locating more equipment on the site. So it's unrelated to the extension. But there was work done in the right-of-way where cables were buried. Bring this up. Specifically, I believe there's a box around this area. We had work done to bring it to the entry point and then lines buried to get to the tower area. So this work has been completed with the tower. American Tower's record shows that the work has been completed, the trenching has been filled in, and they're not aware of any damage to any property owner's property or any damage in the right-of-way.
Just to be clear, Ann, this is the site of the tower.
Correct.
So the ditch, or the right-of-way that we're referring to is on the property that the tower contains the
Right.
tower.
So, the property owner leases this area, and the rest is, the tower company leases this area. The rest is owned by the property owner. So we've got work in the right-of-way, that is county right-of-way. I understand it's an easement. I understand we have county staff available to speak a little bit more to that ownership structure. But it isn't, the work would be in the county right-of-way, and then it would be on the leased access road to the tower. All right, and then finally, I understand that there was some discussion of interference with nearby TV signals. Again, without more specific information, it's hard to address specifically the property owner's concerns. What we can say is that cell service and TV signals are broadcast at different frequencies that are highly regulated by the FCC, so it's very unlikely that this tower actually interfered with that TV service. In addition, as I mentioned, though the extension admittedly was installed, there's no equipment on that, installed on that yet. So what that means is that this amendment to special permit wouldn't be causing that interference. So for those reasons, we feel it's unlikely that it is this tower that is causing that interference. At the same time, American Tower does take it very seriously. Any complaints, any indication of interference, I'm happy to provide a phone number, a contact information to the property owner, so that if they have continuing complaints, they can reach out to the tower company. If they are able to find credible information that there is interference, they'll investigate to try and address that. So with that,
Commissioner Vest.
Yeah, go ahead. if you want.
I was going to summarize to say, with that, we sincerely appreciate your time. Again, we're asking for approval of the amendment to special permit, and this amendment to special permit is for an existing tower that has already been approved. That will only involve an 11-foot extension to that tower is the only change that we're requesting to that special permit. So with that, I'm happy. I've got my summary in. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
I didn't mean to get ahead of you, but, so just to be clear, the extension has been already placed on the tower. So the tower structure itself is the 210 feet, but it's not in operation. The extension has not become functional, if you will.
Yeah, it's the scaffolding or whatever is up there, but
It's the tower structure, but there hasn't been any, the carrier has not installed equipment on that increased tower structure.
And this came to light through the carrier's own efforts. They were the ones who discovered that they needed a permit and then self-reported or went through the process to get the permit, even though they'd gone forward with construction.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
thank you.
Unfortunate, but I can understand.
If it was
how
easy,
this
I
is-
wouldn't be here. But at the same time, again, they're trying to realize that there was an oversight and are coming back to correct it.
Very good.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
Happy
you.
to answer
Any-
any questions that come up.
questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. All right, next up, we will do proponent testimony. So if you are for the amendment, basically, this is proponents, people who are for allowing the tower to be increased. Anybody here wants to testify as a proponent? Okay. Then we will move on to opponent testimony. Are you here to testify in opposition to the?
I am.
Okay, yeah, come forward.
Want me to sign in here?
Please.
Please.
And testimony is limited to 5 minutes. The county clerk will indicate a 1 minute remains for you to summarize your remarks.
I guess you sort of forgot to bring up, my name is Donald D. Olson.
And we'll swear you in before you start. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead.
I own lot 29 that's adjacent to this property. And I'm here to appeal the resolution of PC 2021-01906 to amend special permit 141 CO for a personal wireless facility by extending the allowed height of the tower from 199 feet to 210 feet in property located at 9201 West Agnew Road. Did you get my testimony?
Yes.
Or is there a problem with the mics?
No, you're fine. Keep going. You're doing great.
You're fine.
Okay. So, they went on my property to lay the fiber optics. And I have airspace that they have traveling over this, and this is a microwave tower too. It's just not a fiber optics tower. So you're getting more power and everything coming through the airwaves. And they tore up my ditch when they went through there. They messed up with my fence. And also when the county came in, they had worked with the cable company, and now I have hemlock completely all over my field, my area of the road, county road ditch. So who's going to take care of that? Anybody can tell me?
You're saying the hemlock appeared after the
Correct.
work done by the fiber company
And the county working.
Yeah.
They both worked the ditch at the same time. So who's going to take care of that?
we'll have to do.
Yeah, go for it.
I would say that this is something that, we have a noxious weed department that can check this out. And if there's responsibility, then they can help determine that. That'd be my best.
So they will meet with me on this?
We can let those folks know. I'm sure they'll be glad to come out.
Okay.
That's fundamentally a separate issue, though, from the
No, it ain't.
cell tower.
Because the fiber optic ran through there too. What are you talking about? It's completely different. It's not a different issue. Like I said, they're using my land for airspace, and they're using my land to run the fiber optic. And so, don't they have to get permission to do all this stuff on my land?
Is it in the county right away, sir, or your property?
My property goes from the center of the road. My land, that's the way it's registered at the county or at the Register of Deeds. I own to the center of the road.
But, right, but there's a county,
County right of way.
Right-of-way.
for
I've
the-
never seen a county right-of-way paper. I went down and talked to Pam Dingman, and I talked to one of her guys that run the county, and they said they were gonna get me my paperwork and all this stuff before the meeting, and they've never done anything. So where do you get all the paperwork at for this?
I think you're on the right track,
yeah, I
sir.
think we would have to talk with
Excuse me?
I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I think we'd have to talk with the engineer's office about
So
it.
you're gonna go get all the paperwork for me and send it to me?
I don't think so.
We
I'm
can-
not planning on it.
No, we can set it up so that you can have a conversation with the engineer's office again.
I already went to the engineering office.
Okay,
Isn't Pam Dingman an engineer?
yeah,
Is that who I'd have to talk to?
that's where I would start.
I did. I did it already, and they promised me to have all this information before this meeting. No one presented anything to me.
Okay.
So are you guys gonna help me to get all this information?
I'll follow up with the engineer's office to see what's possible.
Okay? Well,
Can I just ask a clarifying question? You said the previous person said that it was all, you said you own to the middle of the road, so where are you compared to this tower? Are you north of it?
I'm just east of it.
You're just east of it, and the house just east of it?
Excuse me?
In the house, like a house just east of the property?
No,
Is that-
I have farmland just east of that property.
Okay,
And so they're going over my farmland with their tower, with their waves, and all this stuff. And I own all the way up to the top of the sky almost. Same way I own all the way down to the bottom of the earth.
sure.
So why are these people letting them, that's just like these people with these gas lines. They try to put gas lines all over the place, oil lines. They can't do that. They have to get permission. So why are you guys letting them do this?
Commissioner.
Yeah, I just had a question, because this is an existing tower, and I recognize the extension.
But-
Is what we're talking about here. Oh, I have a question for you. Did you own that adjacent property at the time the tower was initially built?
My father-in-law owned it before,
Okay.
so it's been in the family.
Yeah.
And I got a traumatic brain injury, so I can't recall everything. I was gonna, what question was I gonna ask you? Well, I can't. My time's up, so.
Okay.
Thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other opponents to the proposed action? Anyone who wants to testify in opposition?
Want me to sign this?
Please.
And we'll start by having you swear in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name for the record.
You want to state my name, you say?
Please.
Anthony Comenda. I live on Northwest 98th and Agnew Road, Valparaiso. And I'm about the closest neighbor to the west of this tower. And I was there in 1996, and protested this thing. And they guaranteed me things. And so I'd like to know what they guaranteed me things in 1996. So now you people just walk right over that and didn't even, like, it's tough noogie. Is water under the bridge? It's my address is ever going to get, I still haven't heard a thing on that first meeting in '96. At that meeting, I was guaranteed there would never ever be any lights on that tower. Now there's lights all over the damn thing. Excuse me. And I was watching this thing about a couple months ago or something like that, and all this people up there, and saw this 250-foot boom up there, and I was watching them. And then about 3 months later or something, the days I don't have the days down. And all of a sudden, there's this permit, applying for this permit. And now all of a sudden, they're applying for another permit to finish, put an 11-foot extension on it. And I was, is there Brian? Somebody Brian here? He called me. Who's Brian?
Yeah.
From the
You spoke
planning
first.
department.
Yeah. Well, remember what we talked about? You got so damn hot at me. I said, this sounds to me like a cut deal. And you said, what's a cut deal? Well, I said, you just heard what the cut deal is right now.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to direct your comments to the board.
I was telling a few friends of mine, I says, they're spending, I bet you it's a lot of money, probably millions or something. They had that boom tower there for, 2 weeks or more than that. And a whole bunch of people crawling up and down that thing all the time. And so then they applied for the permit. This is almost laughable. They applied for the permit. Is this the way the Lincoln Planning Department works? You can go ahead and build something, and spend all this money to finish it off, trying to bull everybody, and then all of a sudden, now she says the tower's already done. Well, I knew something was up when they put up all those lights, because they weren't supposed to put up no lights up there until that thing's over 200 foot tall. And I knew that a long time ago. I said,
Now there's blinking lights all over the thing. And that's what I was telling Brian. I said, boy, this sounds like a cut deal to me. And I can't believe this. You people are letting this go by. And applying for the permit when it's already a done deal? Explain that one. I want to know how in the hell this outfit works. Can anybody answer that question? How can you let this go by when she's already applied for 2 extra permits and the thing is already done? I think somebody needs to this thing needs to be investigated. Big time. I mean, we're not talking about a few bucks here. We're talking about a lot of bucks. And I made a few complaints about, I mean, this is all insignificant now because it's already a done deal. I was a carpenter for 20, 30 years. I had to apply for permits before I put a shovel in the ground. I had to have these permits. And I was telling a friend of mine back there, Don Olson, I think this is a done deal. It's already done. They've already got their lights up there and they put up these extensions. I said, I'm not going to raise any trouble here until I see a 250-foot boom truck up there and putting up that 11-foot extension. I told Brian that. I said,
Yeah, sir.
I won't be satisfied until this.
Comments from the board.
I said, I won't be satisfied until this 11-foot boom truck there. All right, go ahead.
Your time is up, so if you'd please just kind of summarize your statement.
Well, all right, I got a few other things here.
Well, please summarize. I'll give you another 30 seconds.
I just heard the biggest deal here for a long time. I'm going to have a few people look into this.
Any other opponent testimony? Anyone want to testify in opposition? Okay, then we will move on to neutral testimony. Is anyone here to testify in a neutral capacity? That includes comments from staff members or individuals seeking information about the proposed action. Is there any neutral testimony on the subject?
I have a question I'd like to ask Brian. Is this?
Yeah. That's literally next.
Okay, good. I just wasn't sure what the next step was.
So staff members assisting the county board may make brief comments on the testimony, and I think can probably answer questions. Brian, do you mind if we do it?
My question is, when there's a special permit in place and someone breaks the special permit, what's the repercussions?
Yeah, it would be, it'd be code enforcement, zoning enforcement. That works typically through building and safety and potentially through the county attorney. I mean, planning department's not involved in that, but it would be a zoning enforcement issue. So if there's some known zoning violation and property owner is not coming into compliance, then action is taken, can be taken.
Anyone who spent any time with me on the county board has heard me complain about the fact that with special permits, we often we really have very few options in terms of we can approve it or we can pull it, but we can't. There's no stick to incentivize compliance. We sort of have the nuclear option or nothing often, and this has been a frustration of mine for more than half a decade now. So,
I think we clearly understand that the company has broken their special permit by extending their beyond, and that now requires lighting, which they've done, which is again the reason why it's 199 feet. So they're clearly out of compliance of the code. I understand they're in the process of trying to fix it, but that doesn't mean that there's not a problem that needs, some sort of repercussion.
Yeah. Any other questions for staff? Or Brian, do you have anything you want to add?
I guess I really don't have anything else to add.
I actually do have a question. It's really a point of clarification. So, yes, they did go beyond what they were permitted to do, and I'm not happy that that happened that way, but I appreciate the attempt to now fix this, repair this. But I want to establish, and the applicant actually did speak about this, but I want to establish right now, it's just the skeleton of the tower that is up there. There is no additional equipment that would be sending out any additional waves, anything like that, in no different frequency. It is operating as it has been since 1996, except for the additional lighting, correct?
Yes, they've put the extension of the tower on. But as of my last visit, which was, I don't know, 3 weeks ago maybe, the antennas are not there yet.
Right.
So even though there's an extension, it's not operational. And the antennas wouldn't go up unless this were approved.
Thank you.
And if this is not approved, the extension comes off and back as it was.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
One clarification I guess I do have as well is I know that this is a public hearing, but I do not see this as a business action item for today. Am I understanding that correct? And when would that come back to us?
I think we're coming back to it next week, likely. Is that right? We'll take action on it next week.
Okay.
I think that I would just like to mention that, there is an extension of service to people living in the area. And while there is some complaints about the lighting and also about possible interference, that's not as a result of the extension, cannot be. I think that we have to remember what is going to be the larger impact upon the people, and that is a positive sort of thing. In regard to the poison hemlock, I live in the county, and I am going to call the weed person regarding poison hemlock, because if you go out into the county, you will find many, many areas of poison hemlock. This has been a fantastic year for poison hemlock. And so,
It blooms so prettily.
yeah, I mean, we have been dealing with poison hemlock on our acreage that we never had done before. So I think it is kind of a situation of what the environment is right now. That's all I have to say.
Any other questions or comments for staff? Okay, thank you. And then the applicant is allowed a rebuttal.
Good morning again. Thank you. I guess what I would like to say, just to summarize, is again that yes, absolutely, there was an oversight that the extension was installed prior to getting approval of the special permit. That's been acknowledged, and once it came to light is when the applicant decided and is actively taking steps to bring the tower into compliance. That's why I'm here today. It absolutely would have been better to do things in the right order. If we did that, we might not actually be at the county board and could have had this resolved at the planning commission. But with that, acknowledging that, I do want to emphasize that, again, this tower extension is in line with the policy set forth in the comprehensive plan. Again, that there is that additional coverage provided, the coverage that is essential to the citizens, that people who live in Lancaster County, for them to be able to have cell service coverage, to perform their business, that's so essential in today's day and age. And again, to minimize the number of tower locations throughout the site. So again, to be able to, the comprehensive plan supports being able to most efficiently provide that coverage. And that's why we're in front of you today. That's why the planning department recommended approval, and that's also why the planning commission unanimously approved this amendment to a special permit. So thank you for your consideration. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any other questions?
All right. Thank you.
All right, that will close the public hearing. We can move on to the next item.
Commissioners, the next item I have is item 5, unfinished business, subscription agreement with QTrack LLC for virtual queuing and appointment platform software use for the public while obtaining services from the county treasurer. Cost of the county is not to exceed $8,064.06.
Okay, I'm back on the same topic as last week, and with a lower price. So it is under the $10,000. We got GSA pricing on this, so we are under the $10,000, and they'll supposedly we have pretty much the same pricing next year, but without the one-time costs. So it'll be way under what our previous
Lower pricing's
carrier.
always a good thing.
So, thank
But
you.
the last time we had this in front of us, there was a question by the county attorney's office. I gather that's been addressed. There's no.
Can you repeat the question, Commissioner Vest?
Well, this was in front of us last week.
Correct.
And it was held because of some concerns from the county attorney's office.
Yes, the question was about the prices, and that was addressed with this recontract structuring and also getting the price below the $10,000 mark.
Okay, so your concerns are,
Yes,
No.
yes, our concerns are taken care of.
all right?
Perfect.
I would, now, do we take action on this, or is it?
Yeah.
I would move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Appreciate you looking at different options for the county here to keep the costs under control.
Next item up is new business, item 6A, a recommendation from the county engineer to award a contract to Lobato Construction LLC, the amount of $547,573.30 for replacement of County Bridge C253.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. This is County Bridge C 253. It's located on West Branch Oak Road at the location shown on the map I've put on the overhead. We are recommending the award to the lowest responsible bidder. I will also note that this recommendation is substantially under the engineer's estimate and that we did have 8 bids for this bridge.
That's great.
That's really great.
Yep.
How much?
Move
Just out of curiosity. how much?
$547,000. How much was it under the bid? Our estimate was about $1 million.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries. Brings us to 6B, a subaward contract with Friendship Home for the Lancaster County ICJR project in the amount of $250,682.
I would move approval.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. It's my understanding that Director Hoyle can't be here with us this morning about this item, but she is in support of it and is excited about it, so,
Figured so.
yeah.
And it's passed, like it's not
Right.
county money, it's, we
Right.
just have to be a part of the application process for the,
Right, that is my understanding as well. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 6C, acceptance of a grant award and special conditions from the Nebraska Crime Commission's SFY 2025 County Justice Reinvestment Grant for County Corrections in the amount of $65,431.02.
I would move approval.
And I'll second that also.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Item 7 is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to county business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Good morning. Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. Today, I'm sad. I did say last week that we were getting close to having all of our bridges open, but that we also had a few that were
Yep.
near the edge. D203 on Rock Creek Road, just east of Highway 79, is one of those bridges. I did close it under emergency closure yesterday. We did a standard inspection of this bridge at the end of last month, and when we were doing that inspection, we did additional research and discovered that the piling that are shown on the exhibit here are only 15 feet deep. And as you can see, there's a significant amount of piling that has now been exposed due to the continuing eroding waters of Oak Creek. Oak Creek is the drainage basin that also is Bridge D88 up on Agnew Road and Bridge D41 on Salt Creek. It drains over 57,000 acres. And so a lot of us don't realize that Saunders County is kind enough to gift us a lot of their stormwater runoff. This is one of those corridors. We know that since the flood of 2015, that this creek has dropped 6 to 8 feet and probably more like 15 feet over the last 25 or 30 years. And so we're sad about this bridge. I'm going to show one last picture where we did stick a rod down there and try to determine how much of this piling is still embedded. At this time, because we've just had continual rainfall, and Saunders County has had several rain events that, one of them I think that was more than 6 or 7 inches in a couple hours, this creek is still draining. And in order to figure out how or if these piles are embedded in the ground any longer, we would have to do an underwater inspection. We don't have an underwater inspection crew. So at this time, I just feel that this is a serious enough issue that we should close this bridge, and we'll be bringing it back to you next week.
When was this bridge built?
This bridge was actually built in 1986.
Oh, really?
So it's not terribly old. It's kind of a victim of what I'll call unfortunate, word of the day, geomorphology. Unfortunate geomorphology. And that means that as this comes around Highway 79 and then over to Rock Creek, it takes 2 hard right turns. Mm-hmm. And we know today that we really can't force drainage to take hard right turns and not expect consequences. This is a consequence, unfortunately, of practices that were used well into the 80s that we don't use today. And so now we have to live with this, and we're hopeful that we can find a solution to extend and secure the piling into the earth. Just for order of magnitude on design, Bridge D88 up on Agnew Road has 60-foot piling. 60-foot piling anchoring that thing into the ground. So obviously 60 is much better than 15, especially if your channel is dropped about 15 feet.
Yeah, I just was surprised that it was just 15 feet. Yeah, that
Me
was
too.
Yeah.
Appreciate the update.
Mm-hmm.
Other members of the public wishing to speak?
Robert Bohr. Ms. Yoakum, went on record shortly after the 2020 election saying, "I have faith and confidence in the election results in Lancaster County and around the country." An honorable person would respond that Ms. Yoakum's blind faith and confidence in any so-called election results are irrelevant. Elections are not grounded in blind faith, but in verifiable fact. Yoakum went on to say, politicians who lie about election results through baseless allegations of voter fraud seriously harm our democratic system of government. Was she saying the same about Clinton and many other Democrats after the 2016 election? An honorable person would say, politicians who make baseless claims about election integrity in the absence of transparency and verifiability are the ones doing serious harm to our constitutional republic. Excuse me. Yoakum went on to say, across the country, dedicated civil servants are counting ballots. An honorable person would say, across the country, brainwashed and compromised civil servants are not counting ballots, but rather feeding them into computerized tabulators that they know nothing about and that can easily be programmed to cheat. Yoakum went on to say, there is no evidence of any large-scale fraud with mail-in ballots. An honorable person would say, there is no chain of custody with mail-in ballots, and that opens the door wide to fraud. Secretary Evnen said so himself. Yoakum went on to say, this isn't about political parties, it's about faith in the American system. An honorable person would say it is not about faith in the American system. The American system is not built on faith. It's based on the fact that men are not angels, cannot be trusted, and must therefore be watched. Hence the checks and balances throughout the division of powers at multiple levels. The condition upon which God hath given liberty to man is eternal vigilance, not faith in men. The salvation of the state is watchfulness in the citizen, not faith in men. It has become clear that this board conspired with the SOS office and the Lancaster County Election Office last July to gaslight voters, to defraud us of. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Or we used to. That all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Again, to secure these rights, governments are instituted. The right of voting is the right that secures all other rights. Remove that right and you reduce men to slaves. Secret vote counts constitute sin, number one, unjust weights and measures, number two, and slavery, number three. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under a just God cannot long retain it. Anyone who supports secret vote counts is a danger to our republic. It would appear that this board has declared war, just as the South did when they sought to defend slavery. It is obvious that this so-called government before me today no longer sees themselves as equals or as public servants responsible for securing the God-given rights of all people, but as privileged social engineering soldiers. It is obvious that we are at the stage where government has become destructive of the ends it was instituted to serve and must therefore be altered or abolished. Woe unto those who call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put secret black box vote counts for transparent and verifiably honest elections.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak?
I never thought I would see this day in America where I'd be standing before Americans themselves. I'm assuming you're all United States citizens. I haven't done my homework to check all this out. But pertaining to what goals are you fulfilling in the seats in which you're at? And whose agenda? It's a globalist agenda. Sean Flower Day, that's a globalist agenda. Furthermore, excuse, we're approaching about a year propaganda for the globalist agenda, for the New World Order. And you all have a choice. Some of you may be ignorant, is a serious thing. And I am telling you right now, not only in this city, but in this state, you will have those, if it ever comes to a case, to witness against you, if those charges are brought. We are approaching 2024. Vest, you had to use the same jargon that those who tried to paint political prisoners now sitting in DC jail, horribly abused, American political prisoners taken, and you use part of that garbage language here to set up a platform in this county. The American people are not willing to be your slaves. You all have a choice. The choice is this: to stand for the United States Constitution, the state constitution. And I'm going to tell you, the people that are running and telling you what to do, I'm going to go the Republican Party. Roma and Munson, the patriotic Republicans, voted to censure you. Majority of them, absolutely. Why? Because you endorsed a socialist person. We understand that the globalists are trying to take care of all control of all parties. They already have main position of the Democrat Party. The rhinos and the establishment are within the Republican Party. Those who want abortion up to birth are also hiding within the Republican Party to push these things and fool people. They want the people to be slaves. It's no coincidence in why in the Nebraska state legislature we could not protect parental rights and protect children's innocence, and we have an argument of what is pornography or not, or what kind of pornography children can look at. This shows us that the globalists have control in the deep state in the state of Nebraska. We're an agriculture state. They are stealing our farms, and you are taking their marching orders, and Sean Flowerday, you are a part of it in pushing the wind turbines. This is so serious. Do you not understand? I think some of you do understand, but there's a pride and an arrogance to make a focus of a power play. I don't care about power play. I don't care that my name is remembered. I care that the Lord Jesus Christ's name is remembered and that God is honored. Our inalienable rights you have taken from us, and you have taken the voices of our votes away from the people. We still do not have a cast vote record. I know from 2020, all these positions that you filled, there's not one position in the state of Nebraska on the federal or in city municipalities that we can prove that these seats truly were the voices of the people in electing you. And if you don't have a problem with that, then you need to be removed. You need to resign. And I pray that God's conviction would come upon you so strong and you would resign. Understand that these people you're taking marching orders from have a number of population control. They have no problem with genocide, and they are recruiting it right now in our state to take out our future generations through abortion and trying to push it. We have to come forward and expose the darkness. We are not your enemies. There is a power that's even behind the globalists that you do not understand, and the evil, many of you do not understand, that even goes into cannibalism and eating parts of these babies. And everyone you're taking marching orders from and taking and stealing votes away from the people through these machines and silencing their votes.
That is your time. Any other members of the public wishing to speak?
Connie Ranke. The external network connection leaves voting systems vulnerable to attacks. This connectivity provides an access path to the voting system through the internet, and thus an attack can be orchestrated. Nebraska's cloud-based third-party vendor, Total Vote, is certainly connected, as well as the ES&S voter registration database system. There is new information out of Florida. They've been investigating our voter registration rolls. And this is Florida's account. I'd like to play this for you. It's very important.
And we were getting daily updates because that list of people that request mail-in ballots, for example, gets updated on a daily basis. And as we're going through this list of addresses, a road jumps out at me because it was local to my town called Red Belly Road. I looked at it, it just jumped off the page at me. I went and looked at Zillow, couldn't find it. Couldn't find it in Google, couldn't find it in any of the tax appraiser records. And then we were like, what's going on here? Where'd this road come from? So we went and looked to see who was currently at that road, because we had the current voter rolls, and we noticed that 37 people at that month, in that month that we were looking at, lo and behold, everything came back as 12th Street. And then when we looked up 12th Street, all these people existed. Their deeds matched. The addresses matched, everything was in Google, everything. So it was like, okay, how did these people go from 12th Street now to a fake address? And out of those 37 people, 5 of them requested a mail-in ballot. As we're looking through this, we get the new disc for August. We checked the new disc again for these same voter IDs. Now everybody's been switched back to 12th Street. So if you're following the timeline, they were 12th Street in the 2020 election. They switched to Red Belly Road somewhere around June. They requested 5 mail-in ballots that showed delivered. Why on earth would they show these ballots as being delivered to a fictitious address? And then right in time for the official results of the election, they were switched back to 12th Street. We always thought that the voter rolls were static, kind of like a piece of sheet of paper that you're just appending new records. We didn't think that older records were being manipulated in real time during the election. That example of Red Belly Road was what we call an address flipper. That in our mind is identity theft because we actually went and had affidavits on everybody on that street right after the election. No one knew what we were talking about. No one asked for their address to be changed, and more importantly, nobody on that street asked for a mail-in ballot. So the other ones that we saw was the insertions. Insertions was basically you would see somebody that was previously marked inactive in another county. They would be reactivated and slipped into a new county, and sometimes their birth date would change, sometimes their name would change, and in most cases their party changed. So we were seeing them slip these new people into new counties, and then per the supervisor election, if they're looking at that person, they would just think that this is a new person that just moved into the state. They had no idea that they were previously marked inactive in another county. And then the last one is probably the most troubling is deletions. For example, Palm Beach County had 53,000 people removed from the voter rolls for a month, and then they came back in December. So they were just deleted for 1 month, and then the next disc that we got, they were put back. And this was Trump's county during the election. I am to believe that you passed in a mail-in ballot in October, and you were deleted in November from the voter rolls? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
So the first pattern I looked at is our Secretary of State publishes how many people are registered in every county and every precinct on a monthly basis. So I started by plotting that, and I found that all of the counties would change by approximately the same percentage every month. This enormous buildup in registrations in every county, and they're all going together in unison, all 33 of them. And then I plotted how many people were being registered by day for each county. They had this perfect weekly repeating pattern. So I just knew that isn't real, that you cannot have 8 people show up every Tuesday in Doña Ana County to register, and 6 of them are going to be Democrats, and 1 will be a Republican, and 1 will be a declined to state. That's just not how people do things, especially not in 2020 when everything was shut down.
Our Secretary of State says he doesn't investigate these types of things. Only what he needs to do with the totals.
Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Any other members of the public wishing to participate in public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to announcements.
The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting, including budget hearings, on Thursday, June 6 at 8:30 a.m. in 112 of the County City Building. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold its next regular meeting on Tuesday, June 11th, 2024 at 9 a.m. in room 112 of the County City Building. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commish@lancaster.ne.gov. Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live on LNK-TV. LNK-TV is available on Allo Channel 2 and Spectrum Channel 1300. For the rebroadcast schedule, visit lincoln.ne.gov. Meetings are also streamed live on YouTube and Facebook. LNK-TV apps are available on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. Item 9 is adjournment.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson?
Yes.
Schulte?
Yes.
Yocum?
Yes.
Vest?
Yes.
Flowerday?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Equalization.
We will open the Board of Equalization meeting. Mr. Clerk.
Location announcement of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act. copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located at the wall at the rear of the hearing room. All written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available for electronic viewing of the county clerk's staff. Printing options are available upon request. These materials can also be viewed at the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. First item is minutes, the approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024.
I move approval of the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 2 is the additions and deductions to the tax assessment rolls.
Move approval of the additions and deductions?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 3 is our public hearing for the following motor vehicle tax exemption applications. VSL Lincoln Sumner LLC, Christ United Methodist Church, Peace Lutheran Church, St. Michael Catholic Church and School, Radiant Church, Good Neighbor Community Center, Lincoln Berean Church, Lighthouse, MyBridge, Second Baptist Church, and Madonna Rehabilitation Hospital.
All right, we will go ahead and open the public hearing on these. Is there anyone wishing to speak on the motor vehicle tax exemption applications? Seeing none, we will go ahead and close the public hearing and move on to item 4.
Item 4 is action on the following the motor vehicle tax exemption applications.
Move approval of the motor vehicle tax exemption applications?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 5 is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items related to County Board of Equalization business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Any members of the public wishing to speak on items not on the agenda of the Board of Equalization? Seeing none,
Move we adjourn.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Schulte,
Yes.
Yocum,
Yes.
Vest,
Yes.
Flowerday.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We are adjourned.